All right. Well, hello once again. Let's welcome you to the last lesson of week 7, right? Just the week before your formatives, right? This is lesson, I think it's 16. Yeah, I'm losing track here. That's right, it's 16. Yeah. So lesson 16, we're going to be looking at formatics today. Also, once again, going to start and end with some great videos. Very cool videos once again, one from Ted as well. Very nice. What an innovation. I'm trying to push, not trying, I'm actually doing it. So I'm pushing the creative agenda because we are going to move into content creation just after you come back from your formative week. And yeah, I just want to say good luck and obviously work hard, and please also make sure that you do contact me and ask me any questions that you do have. I know yesterday, well, because I'm recording this one in the morning, so excuse me, I did have one student that did sit with me on WhatsApp because we couldn't get onto MS Teams from her side. But we sat through and we took enough time to go through the assignment and her answers. And so I just want to let you know that that is available to any one of you that are obviously in the class. Right, take some time, you can have a look at your what you've got so far, your progress, and so you can do obviously better. Don't just assume that everything that you are doing is 120,000% correct, right? You want to make sure that's just to check in once again, not to reiterate it or harp on too long about it. Check in and do a good job so that you can tick off radio one and as a good mark, and you can move on with the rest of the year. Okay, once again, just as you know, my throat and my throat specifically has not been in good shape for the past 2 weeks, right? But I am going to manage just as best I can. And what I want to do is before we get into the class, which is going to be like I said, as you can almost see there, there's going to be formatics around the clock. When chat about the clock, I'm going to put that together. I want to go to where is that? Oh, it's over here. Right. I want to go to this first video over here. The first video is, like I say, it's a TED Talk. The other one is about 5 ways on how you can improve your content strategy. So online, so developing content as a content strategist online. So both very, very interesting and entertaining, as well as informative. So uh, let's watch this first one. See that.
If you're a web designer,
Hold on, let the ad go. Okay, enjoy it.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it is true that I am a Stanford graduate. Don't hold that against me, okay? My son goes to Cal, so I have some link to Cal. It is really an honor to speak at any TEDx, but to open one up is really, really special. So last night I told my wife, of all places, in your wildest dreams, did you ever think that I would open up TEDx Berkeley? And she said, honey, you're not in my wildest dreams. So, welcome to my life. Welcome to my life. The theme of thinking and defining and creating is all about innovation. So my talk is about the art of innovation. I use the top 10 format. That's because I've seen so many high-tech speakers. And I'll tell you, most high-tech speakers suck. So I figured out very early in my career, if you use the top 10 format, at least the audience can track progress to your speech. So if they think you suck, they know about how much longer you'll suck. So I have 10 key points for you. So I worked at Apple. I've been a venture capitalist, an entrepreneur, an advisor to Google. I've done a lot of things, and I've learned a lot about innovation, which I would like to pass on to you now so that you may go and change the world. Okay? This is my top 10 of the art of innovation. It starts with the desire to make meaning as opposed to make money. Making meaning means that you change the world. And I think you'll notice that if you happen to change the world, you will also probably make money. But if you start off with the sole desire to make money, you probably won't make money, you won't make meaning, you won't change the world, and you will probably fail. So my first thought for you is determine how you can make meaning. How can you change the world? Here are some examples. With Apple, Apple wanted to democratize computers. They wanted to bring computing power to everyone. That's the meaning they made. With Google, they wanted to democratize information, making information available to everyone. With eBay, they wanted to democratize commerce so that anyone with a website could stand toe-to-toe with any other large retailer. Examples of companies making meaning, and YouTube finally wanted to enable people to create video, to upload video, to share video. So this is an example of the company and the kind of meaning they made. And as you know, they all made this kind of meaning, and they've been highly, highly successful. So what I noticed in my career is that if you truly want to make meaning, it's the first step towards innovation. The second step is to make a mantra, a 2 or 3, maybe 4-word explanation of why your meaning should exist. This is an anti-example. This is the mission statement of Wendy's. The mission of Wendy's is to deliver superior quality products and services for our customers and communities through leadership, innovation, and partnerships. I have been through Wendy's many times in my life. I've eaten at Wendy's, I've driven through Wendy's, and in every occasion, it has never occurred to me that, Guy, what you are participating in is leadership, innovation, and partnerships. Excuse me, but I thought I was just getting French fries, Coke, and a hamburger. This is the problem with mission statements. Don't make a mission statement. Make a mantra. Wendy's mantra should be healthy, fast food. 3 words that determine what Wendy's is trying to do. Somewhat oxymoronic, but healthy, fast food. Nike has a great slogan, just do it. That's a slogan. A mantra explains why you should exist. And the Nike mantra is authentic athletic performance. And finally, there's FedEx. When you absolutely, positively want something somewhere, what does FedEx stand for? It stands for peace of mind. So my second recommendation to you is that when you decide on the kind of meaning you make, try to find 2 or 3 words that describe why that meaning should exist. Not a 50-word mission statement, 2 or 3-word mantra. The third thing is a matter of perspective. The perspective is to jump curves. Not to stay on the same stupid curve that you're on. Not to try to do things 10% better. When we were creating the Macintosh, we were not trying to make a slightly better Apple II or a slightly better MS-DOS machine. We were trying to jump to the next curve of personal computing. The greatest example of this occurs in the ice business. Ice 1.0. In the late 1800s, early 1900s, there was an ice harvesting business in the United States. This meant that Bubba and Junior, during winter, would go to a frozen lake or a pond, cut blocks of ice. 9 million pounds of ice was harvested in 1900. Their idea of innovation was bigger horse, more horses, bigger sleigh, sharper saw. But it was fundamentally wait for winter, live in a cold city, cut blocks of ice. 30 years later, we have Ice 2.0. Now we have the ice factory. Major technological breakthrough. It did not have to be winter. It did not have to be a cold city. You froze water centrally and delivered it via the Iceman in the ice truck. Imagine the breakthrough this was. No more limitations by climate, no more limitations by season. You could have an ice factory. 30 years go by, we have Ice 3.0, refrigerator curve. Now, it's not a matter of can you freeze water centrally, can you put it in a truck, can you deliver the ice to people. Now, everybody could have their own personal ice factory, a PC, if you will, a personal chiller. The very interesting story about all of these curves is that none of the organizations that were ice harvesters became ice factories, and ice factories did not become refrigerator companies, because most companies define themselves in terms of what they do, not the benefits they provide. If you define yourself as we cut blocks of ice out of lakes, you remain an ice harvester. If you define yourself as we freeze water centrally, you remain an ice factory. If you define yourself as we make a mechanical gadget called a refrigerator, then you stay on the refrigerator curve. Great innovation occurs when you get to the next curve, when you go from telephone to internet, when you go from daisy wheel printer to laser printer to 3D printing, great innovation occurs on the next curve. The fourth thing is to roll the dice. These are the 5 qualities of great innovation. Great innovation is deep, lots of features, lots of functionality. This is a picture of a fanning sandal made by Reef, arguably the deepest sandal ever made. Every sandal has one primary purpose, to protect your feet. If you look at that circled area, that's a metal clip. That metal clip is for the sandal to open beer bottles. This sandal has twice the functionality, twice the depth of any other sandal in the world. Great products are also intelligent. When you look at it, you say, aha, somebody understood my pain. Somebody understood my problem. This is a GT500 Shelby Mustang, 650 horsepower. For those of you in Berkeley who do not rate the horsepower and muscle cars, this is 6.8 Priuses. I would love to buy one of these cars. 59 years old, going through a midlife crisis, feelings of impotency. I would love to buy this car to compensate for my feelings of inadequacy. However, I have 2 teenage boys. One's 18, one's 20. And I know that no matter how carefully I plan it, there may be instances where they may drive my car. And the thought of them in a 650 horsepower car is immoral. I learned, however, that Ford makes a very intelligent product called the MyKey. And what the MyKey enables you to do is program the top speed of the car into the key. Very intelligent product. Great products are also complete. It's the totality of the product. If the software business, it's not just the software. It's not just the DVD. It's the webinars, it's the documentation, it's the Android developers. If you have if you have an Android phone, it's the iOS developers. If you have an iOS phone, it's the totality. Great products are also empowering. They make you more creative, more productive. They enhance you. They change the meaning of your life. This is a picture of a MacBook Air. If you use a Macintosh, it becomes one with you. It makes you more creative and more powerful, more productive. Windows, you have to fight. You have to wrestle Windows to the ground. You need to defeat Windows. And finally, great products are elegant. Somebody cared about the user interface. So as you go through life and you're trying to jump curves, ask yourself, am I creating something that's deep and intelligent and complete and empowering and elegant? Am I rolling the dicey? The fifth thing is I stole something from Bobby McFerrin. He had a great song, Don't Worry, Be Happy. But what innovators do is don't worry, be crappy. Which is to say, when you have the first refrigerator, there may be elements of crappiness to it. When you have the first laser printer, there may be elements of crappiness to it. When you had the first Macintosh, thanks to my efforts, there was no software, there was no hard disk, not enough RAM, too slow a chip, lots of elements of crappiness to it. But if you waited for the perfect world and you waited till the chips were cheap enough and fast enough and everything was in place, you would never ship. And I learned a very valuable lesson. Don't worry, be crappy. When you have jumped to the next curve, it's okay to have elements of crappiness to your revolution. I am not saying you should ship crap. I am saying that you should ship things that are revolutionary, innovative, on the next curve, that have elements of crappiness to it. Biotech people, ignore this slide. Number six. Number six is to let 100 flowers blossom. I stole this from Chairman Mao, although it's not clear to me he ever implemented this. Letting 100 flowers blossom means that at the start of great innovation, you may think you have in mind exactly who your user is, exactly who your customer is, what they should do with your product. And you may be surprised that people are going to use your product in ways you did not anticipate. And it's going to be people who you did not anticipate would be using it at all. And when this occurs, hallelujah, thank God that it's occurring. Positioning and branding ultimately comes down to what the consumer decides, not to what you decide. So with Macintosh, we thought we had a spreadsheet database and word processing machine. We were 0 for 3 there. What made Macintosh successful was Aldous PageMaker. PageMaker created a field of flowers called desktop publishing. Desktop publishing was what saved Macintosh, not spreadsheet database or word processor. If we focused on spreadsheet, database, and word processor, and ignored desktop publishing, Apple would be dead today. If Apple were dead today, it would be a different world. We'd all have phones with real keypads. We'd have phones where the battery lasted for more than a day. We'd have phones where the GPS actually worked. It would be a different world, right? All this PageMaker was a gift from God to Apple because it saved Apple. I believe in God, and one of the reasons why I believe in God is there is no other explanation for Apple's continued survival than the existence of God. Let 100 flowers blossom. Don't be proud. Take your best shot with positioning and branding. But then when customers use your product, if they say it's a desktop publishing machine, hallelujah, declare victory. It is now a desktop publishing machine. Number 7, polarize people. Great products, great services, great innovation polarizes people. This is a TiVo. People like me who travel a lot, I love TiVo. We have 4 TiVos in our house. I need to time shift a lot of TV. I love to watch TV. Now, there are people who also hate TiVo. People who hate TiVo usually work for large brands and advertising agencies because people like me, we watch advertising one day a year, about a week ago, right? We watch Super Bowl ads. The rest of the year, we're fast forwarding through TiVo, with TiVo through ads. Great products polarize people. If you're an agency, you hate TiVo. If you're me, you love TiVo. You can love or hate a Harley Davidson. You can love or hate a Macintosh. You can love or hate an iPhone. I'm not saying that you should intentionally piss people off, but I'm telling you that great products polarize people. Don't be afraid of polarizing people. Number 8 is churn, baby, churn. This is stolen from the Black Panthers, who said burn, baby, burn. But what innovators in business do is they churn, baby, churn. They take version 1 and they make it 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, 2.0. The hardest thing in the world. Because to be an innovator, you need to be in denial. You need to be in denial because the naysayers are going to tell you, it can't be done, it shouldn't be done, and it isn't necessary. You need to ignore those people. But as soon as you ship, you need to flip that bit and start listening to people and churn your product. Change it, and change it, and keep evolving it. Number 9 is all the marketing you need to know. It is to niche thyself. It's a very simple chart. On the vertical axis, we measure uniqueness. On the horizontal axis, we measure value. This is a 2x2 matrix. For those of you, when you graduate, if you go to work for McKinsey, you'll be charging $5 million for people to figure out that they want to be in the upper right-hand corner of this chart, okay? Let's go through all corners. In the bottom right corner, that's where you have something of great value, but it's not unique. There, you have to compete on price. This is what I call the Dell corner. Slap the same operating system on the same hardware, you have to compete on price. In the opposite corner, you have something truly unique, only you do it, but it is of no value. In that corner, you are just plain stupid, right? Bottom left corner, we call that the USC corner. The bottom left corner, the bottom left corner, the bottom left corner is what I call the .com corner. In the .com corner, you have something that's not valuable and not unique, like buying dog food online. We buy dog food online. You pay as much for the dog food because you have to pay for shipping and handling, and then you have to be at home when UPS drops off the dead cow in the can. So it's not very convenient, and it's just as expensive, so it's not valuable. And then stupid people like me, because there was Pets.com, we decided we had to have our own portfolio, Pets.com, so there were multiple ways to spend the same amount of money on dog food less conveniently. That's the worst corner. Not valuable, not unique. The corner you want to be in is the upper right-hand corner. In that corner, you are unique. Where I go to movies, I can only buy tickets with Fandango. When you take kids to a movie, you really want to know you have a ticket before you go. By the way, may I highly recommend the Lego movie. It is a fantastic movie. Trust me and I tell you, go see the Lego movie. Fandango, the only way you can buy a ticket. Brightening emergency watch, the only watch that can save your life. Pull out the big knob, puts out an emergency signal. That watch can save your life. Smart car, everybody has cars that can park parallel to the curb when there's lots of parking. How many of us have a car that can park perpendicular to the curb, right? If you're an engineer, you make a product that's unique and valuable. If you're a marketing person, you communicate to the world that your product is unique and valuable. Number 10, perfect your pitch. If you're an innovator, you have to learn to pitch. 2 key points about pitching. First, customize your introduction. Start with something customized to the audience. This is a picture of an LG washer and dryer. I use these pictures to introduce my speech in Latin America when I was speaking to the LG management. However, to tell you the backstory behind this, I was already in Brazil when I thought about, well, I should use the picture of our LG washer and dryer. So I didn't have pictures, it's not something I carry with me, pictures of your washer and dryer. So I sent a text message to my two older boys, one of whom is in the audience right now. His name is Nick, older boy, younger boy Noah. So I send them a message saying, get off the Call of Duty that I bought you, on the Xbox that I bought you, in the house that I bought you, take your iPhone that I bought you, go downstairs, both of you, take pictures of the LG washer and dryer. I need it right away. 15 minutes go by, nothing happens, right? So, again, Nick is the older boy, he's the cowboy, the other one is high school still. So this is what happens, this is the text message. I send Nick a text message, did you get my text message? Because I don't see the pictures. Nick responds, Noah, his younger brother, said he would take the pictures. By the way, can you get us some free TVs? Welcome to my life. And then you see my bottom response. I don't think so, Nick. Welcome to my life. The key here is to customize your introduction. When I spoke in Moscow, I opened up with this slide and I said, wow, you Russians have big balls. When I spoke in Istanbul, I opened up with this picture of me in the Grand Bazaar. That guy behind me is the shopkeeper. He is really happy. You know why he's really happy? Because he's thinking, this dumbass American tourist is going to buy this fez. This fez has been in my family for 3 generations. I finally found somebody stupid enough to buy this fez. Trust me when I tell you, if you'd open up a speech in Istanbul with a thing like that, a picture like that, you own the audience. Customize your introduction. More on slides. 10, 20, 30 rule of presentations. The optimal number of slides in a presentation is 10. 10. Now, you're all Cal people. You're not stupid. You know I'm way past 10. You may be thinking I'm a hypocrite. How should I explain this? I will explain this. You are not me, okay? 10 slides. 10 slides. You should be able to give these 10 slides in 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Yes, you may have an hour slot, but to this day, unfortunately, 95% of the world uses Windows laptops. Those people need 40 minutes to make it work with the projector. And the last thing is the optimal size font is 30 points. A good rule of thumb is figure out who the oldest person is in the audience, divide his or her age by 2. 60-year-old divide by 2, 30. 50-year-old divide by 2, 25 points. Someday you may be pitching a 16-year-old VC. That day, God bless you, use the 8-point font. 11, as a bonus to my friends here at Cal. Don't let the bozos grind you down. The bozos are going to try to grind you down. And the more innovative you are, the more they'll try to grind you down. There are 2 kinds of bozos in the world. I'm an expert in bozos, okay? 2 kinds of bozos. Slovenly, disgusting, pocket protector, body odor, just a loser of a person. Rusty car, Japanese watch. You look at that person, you say, wow, what a loser. That person is not dangerous because that person is so obviously a loser. Only a loser would listen to that loser. And because you're not losers, you won't listen to that person. Hence, that person is not dangerous. The dangerous bozo dresses in all black. The dangerous bozo owns a lot of stuff that ends in I, like Armani, Maserati, Lamborghini, Ferrari, okay? Audi is okay, rare exception. That's the dangerous bozo because you think rich and famous parses to smart, but rich and famous parses to lucky, not smart. At least half the time. So I believe that bozosity is like the flu. You need to be exposed to bozosity so that when you encounter big bozosity, you have already built up the antigens. I'm going to expose you to some bozosity. I think there's a world market for maybe 5 computers. Thomas Watson of IBM. 5 computers. I have 5 Macintoshes in my house. In other words, I have all the computers he anticipated in the world in my house today. This telephone has too many shortcomings to be seriously considered as a means of communication. The device is inherently of no value to us. Western Union, internal memo, 1876. Western Union wrote off telephony in 1876. Western Union should be PayPal today. Oops. There's no reason why anyone would want a computer in their home. Ken Olsen, great innovator, great entrepreneur, said this about computers. There's no reason to have a computer in your home. How many have a computer in your home today? Because according to Ken Olsen, there's no reason. He was a great innovator, extremely good entrepreneur, but he was so successful on, let us say, the ice factory curve, he could not appreciate the next curve, the refrigerator curve. And that is the art of innovation. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Very cool. Okay. Yeah, I enjoyed that thoroughly. As you can hear, I was laughing along there as well. All right. What I want to first to do, so the again, just to kind of reiterate why that is a cool little video, not only because it was a great speaker, guest speaker, or host speaker, but the approach to innovation is basically your ticket to success in, like a crafts-based industry like radio, you understand, and applying it to all, I suppose, because you are involved in becoming practitioners in media. If you just approach innovative ways to stand out, make your product stand out, make your service stand out, and make again yourself stand out in many different great cool ways, you're going to get a lot further, have a much longer career, and a much happier one as well. When I say happiness, yes, yeah, you've got to enjoy this with a bit of passion, and that can maybe escalate to a lot of passion, right? So that you can also, in I say dry periods of enthusiasm, right, to be able to make sure that you can motivate yourself and say, oh no, I'm looking at my great work that I do, and I know my competency, and I know exactly where I want to also be. I want to be in this industry. I want to be doing this particular job. And so this is why I'm going to continue, right? Okay, so on a different, I say, sidebar, because again, it's not about innovation, this particular lesson, but like I said, I want to make these particular lessons a little bit more uh, three-dimensional, maybe 2 or 3 dimensional, is about the clock. Okay, so when we look at the clock, and I'm going to show you an example, a more, I suppose, more. It's a better example only in the sense that when we look at the clock is, let's first just do the introduction, which is a clock is the graphical representation of what happens in an hour on your show, right? So on your show, on your station, whatever it may be, different clocks will represent different hours in different shows and different day parts of the schedule, right? And they're all going to differ slightly because every part of the day requires your demands different things, right? Uh, from you, as well as what the listener demands from you, is also slightly different because different parts of the day they're going to be doing different things, and they are going to be in different moods. They're going to expect certain bits of information or amounts of information. They're going to expect more music. They're going to expect more news, whatever it may be. And we have discussed this in terms of just a temperament. Looking at yourself. What is it that you like from morning radio? What is it that you like from lunchtime radio, or drive radio, or weekend radio? Right. And it's always debatable. So I'm saying to you, with one clock, there isn't one perfect clock out there, nor is there one stagnant clock out there, because stations will go and customize what they feel is a good balance of or the elements that make up the clock, right, within certain hours, according to what their research and what their own, I say, professional but basically their professional, not opinion, but the input as again practitioners that have been in radio for so long, that have been doing radio all day, every day, today, right? They will obviously input to the balance of certain elements, like I say, like music, news, advertising, imaging, all that type of stuff. So it is a round circle, right? And we do divide it actually into quarterlies. So you'll see like it'll go, let's say, down, and it should go, let's say, across. And the quarterlies are supposed to represent again just quarter hours, right? Quarter parts of that hour. And why do we do this? Again, just to if I haven't repeated it already, I'm going to repeat it again because it's necessary here. So why do we include why do we split up into quarter hours? Want to make sure that something is happening that requires some kind of attention, right? In every quarter hour. So there should be ideally a link that happens in every quarter hour, so every 15 minutes of the show. And the link can be a call to action, it can be a competition, it can be a housekeeping, it can be whatever it is, an interview, it doesn't matter. As long as something is happening in every quarter hour, Like we want to make sure that we got the listener's attention, we're giving them something of value, and they're obviously having a good time listening, so that perhaps they would listen for another 15 minutes, right? Again, we do note that a listener does come in at different times of that particular hour, so they could come in at 5 past or at 7 past. Well, I mean, in this case, it's probably 7 past will be, excuse me, over there, right, 12 past, whatever it may be. But for the next 15 minutes of which they are they're going to stay with us, something should happen. Do you understand? Because it will measure out. I mean, it will balance out. All right. So we require that as the most basic rule, right? So for example, we come here. The next thing that's going to happen is a PSA. Like that'll come on. Will come on. We'll obviously either do that PSA in the 15 minutes before that. So let's say from here to about there. There was a live promo that happened. Maybe even if we push it a little bit back, like weather happened there. We do play music, as you can see, but also the news would have happened. Yeah, let's say if it was one of the drive shows, one of the shows that do include, let's say, news. If I move from, let's say, this 15 minutes, so let's go about 25, right? The weather in this case has happened, right? And from 25, let's say to 40, 40 has a live promo, right? So we're doing every 15 minutes there should be something where the presenter is present, obviously, they're active, and they are doing something. Again, they're performing something of value. So just some definitions I want to go through. Um, and so, for example, let's say what a bumper or bumper music is. When shows are syndicated, in other words, the same show is being broadcast in two different areas. We're talking like, let's say, two different provinces here in South Africa, maybe one in Gauteng, maybe one in the Western Cape, one in KZN. Same show going out. In America, they do it sometimes countrywide, which is insane because their country is so massive. But they do syndicate, let's say, a lot of talk shows across the country, a lot of music shows as well. Some music shows that are obviously quite common. It's like Ryan Seacrest's show is syndicated across the country, across the world as well. But anyway, so syndicated shows happening at the exact same time. But what happens is that when we go to music breaks, for example, not the music's the advertising breaks, right? The spot breaks, they're not even, so they're not all, let's say, 2.5 minutes. They're not all 3.5 minutes, whatever, because maybe that station hasn't been able to schedule certain ads, certain amounts of ads at that particular spot break, right? So we'll fill it in with bumper music, right? Just to kind of balance that out, either in the beginning, in the middle of those particular spots, or so from spot to spot, or at the end, just to make sure that we balance out that syndication, right? So call letters are your IDs, right? Your station IDs, the official legal name of the radio station. So in this case, WABC or excuse me, KOSL. Oh, I feel sorry for those DJs that say that. KOSL FM. Um, and Studio B radio, right? We would obviously have our own again, Jackrand FM, 5FM, Metro FM, or whatever it may be. It's just caller IDs for the station itself. Copy is when we are writing like literal, so we're writing a literal script that is used so that we can record commercials, promotional announcements when we're doing, let's say, live reads, when we're doing scripts for promos, competition activations, that type of stuff. So it's a scripts. The drops are sound bites that are lifted from, for example, let's say movies, TVs, other sources used by DJs, just kind of obviously add more dimension to the show, more life to the show as well. The format clock is now what you see there, that circular shape. That's obviously it looks exactly like a clock, but it's divided into different pieces like a pie, right? That represent different elements: songs, commercials, talk time, etc. Right? And we together as the presenter and alongside our program manager and our station manager or our station manager we'll go and we'll put that show clock together for each of our hours in that show. A jingle is something that almost, I mean, if you want to think about the jingle tend to want to have some kind of sound element to it. So it'll be a produced element that IDs the station, IDs the show, IDs the DJ names, whatever it is. So it has a, like I say, a production element, either a little bit of a music thing, or it's got some music, like I say, it's got some musical extractions of certain songs that are maybe trying to push the message that you're busy saying, or yeah, that you're including in the actual jingle itself, right? So I keep thinking of one, like for example, we've got I'm not sure where the artist is, but it's Do the Hustle. Do the Hustle. And then the jingle will say, to all the hustlers out there, listen to, you know, and the station. So that's a jingle, right? Okay, so the log, written record of what transpires in 3 hours, the music, commercials, the content, transmitting specifications. In other words, a music log is a list of songs that are played for the day, right? So you'll get the playlist, right, as well. A commercial log will be just the spots that are, being played out for that show for that day. And when an engineering log show, when and an engineering log show the status of a transmitter's specifications during the course of the day. Okay. A playlist obviously is what we receive. We might receive it, say, in a physical form, so like on paper, whatever it may be, right? And or we could just get it off our playback system, right? So the playlist is the official list of songs of the station that is playing during a given week, 1 hour, or a show, whatever it may be, right? It's a playlist for that for your show, and then show to show, like I say, obviously day to day. And then yeah, I think that's, I don't want to confuse that any further than that. Just in a second now, a promo. So a promo is an announcement, live, pre-recorded, which promotes pre-recorded element, element is a good word, which promotes an upcoming event, promotes a station image, promotes the results of a past or event, or it promotes any other event which benefits the station image or activities, right? So again, the promo is promotional, obviously, and then we will cater around, we'll build around something that we're actually going to go and do. The station's going to go do. It's busy running a competition. It's running an outside broadcast. It's running like a partnership with a Comic Con or whatever it may be, right? Or what is that? Like a cancer-thon or whatever it may be, right? A PSA, as you know, it's an acronym for a public service announcement. Soundbite, anything less than 15 seconds, right? It's a little soundbite you normally hear in news, particularly like they'll say the Minister of Health had this to say, whatever it may be, and then they'll play the little snippet soundbite, right? A stinger, a sound effect or musical effect that punctuates a punchline or emphasizes a thought. So the technique is often used by DJs and comedians. And then a sweeper, so usually a recorded element, voice or voiceover music or sound effects that bridges two songs between together, or creates transition from commercials back to music. So that type of ID that brings us back to music, that brings us like a transition between one song and another. Remember, everything is banned under imaging, right? So in this case, we had a sweeper over here. We could add a jingle over here, and then with the caller, which is the ID, right? This caller letter, which is just like a station ID. Okay, I think, yeah. So what we do is we start with just like like an empty hour over here, and what we do is we start, like I say, by putting in one across and one, sorry, down and one across, like a line across and down. and you'll see one of the examples in just a moment, right? And then we'll start obviously including different elements. Let me quickly go to that, so you can actually just immediately see what it looks like while I talk about it. Give me a second. Maybe I'll see get the right one here. All right, here we go. Let's share it now in just a moment. Wait. Okay. Zoom. All right, share the screen. Okay, so then let's go here. This is what we're looking at. Just going to zoom in there just a little bit. Now, obviously, I'm not expecting you to do something of this detail, and only I'm saying detail only in terms of the rotation. So I'm saying that, for example, this is the first quarter of, I just want to zoom in just a tiny bit more. My handwriting is not the best. I know that, as I've said before. Okay. So again, with the rotation, that's something we expect more second, third, yeah, right? Okay. So it would be music, jingle, music in your case, right? So, but here it starts news bulletins, the weather, that does say weather, trust me. Financial indicators, that's going to be 4 minutes, right? Then I'm going to have sports headlines so for the 30 seconds, I add to that 4 minutes. Traffic update, another 30 seconds over there. Then I'm going to go into an ID. Okay, so an ID, jingle, whatever it may be, right? If you want to call the right thing. So in this case, we would say this jingle is a sweeper, right? So it's going from one song to another. It's still the type of sweeper it is a jingle, because I would like something a little bit more produced and upbeat, whatever it is to add there, right? And that adds a little bit of atmosphere, tells me more about the format, etc. in the show. But a nice little clean ID from from traffic to, and the news, obviously the news in total, right, to music. And then let's say, so I did mine, so it ends, let's say here at 5:10, so 10 seconds for the ID, 3.5 minutes for the song, takes us to 8:40, another jingle for 10 seconds, 8:50, another 3.5 minutes, takes us to 11 minutes, 20 seconds, passed in that hour, hey? And then the link, which obviously is debatable. I'm not saying all links now must not start here in the first hour and be this long, which is I think it's 3 minutes, right? 3 minutes. I'm not saying that. It's just was you have to put the link somewhere, and you have to decide at some point what the average link time length is going to be. Anyway, that song will end at 17 minutes will have passed in 50 seconds. Another ID 10 seconds. Yeah, going to classic, going to a link, bubbling under. Another very short generic link, probably like a teaser, with 2 minutes of spots here. So 2 minutes of advertising, news headlines, traffic, and then a sports bulletin, a 3 minute sports bulletin going back into. That's just a one half hour of probably what is a drive show, right? Something close to a drive show. And I'm sure you understand. Okay, let's go back to the lesson. Okay, just give me a second. Get that content. All right. Okay. So, um, so to get to know your audience, a good way to get to know a new audience is by looking at the format of the station. In other words, like the playlist. So, what music is being played? What type of music, right? What type of music format is the station licensed to act as, right? But the format also will tell us a lot about the age and the likes of a listener. It's in the name, right? Adult, contemporary, urban youth, whatever it is. We had a number of them, like classics. We had dance contemporary. We had contemporary hit radio from, let's say, previous lessons that you might remember. Okay. By this, you can assume that if the listener is into social media, has kids, income level, etc., we can start assuming different things about them, right? By first of all, once again, really big. The big thing is the age, and then obviously the SEM. So the SEM again is like what do they own, to showcase like how much do they spend, as we said, obviously high SMs are very rich people or well earning people, should I say, that spend a lot of money on their lifestyle, right? Okay, with different things like the amount of washing machines, amounts of cars, amounts of garages, appliances in their house, the types of schools that their kids go to, all that type of stuff, right? Okay, so what if you don't know these things yet? Radio stations have many ways, obviously, finding out this. We can actually just run surveys, right? So we can run research. We'll bring in research companies, as I've said before. Very important to go look for a really like a I don't know, reputable is the word I'm looking for. A reputable research company that's gonna come in, do some really great research focus groups that are going to answer very valid questions. They'll also construct some great questions that will have answers to a lot of problems that you have as a station, right? A lot of guessing games can be obliterated, right, by just asking a really great intensive work focus group, right? Certain questions, certain lines of questioning. So how long do you listen for? What do you look for in a program? Who do you like presenter wise? Like, are you interested in things like weather, traffic, etc.? Right? Are you interested in speaking about celebrities, whatever it may be? So they can also pay companies that have already done the research in their footprint. So area broadcast for basic information. We normally find that anyway from the BRC, but again, it's not for community stations specifically. It's not very accurate because of the way that we have described before. That kind of small town approach, right? Small size town approach, and the way that they kind of average over metropolitan, suburban, and urban areas, right? It doesn't become that effective in reflecting the numbers of a community station. So community stations have to go and spend extra money to go get more accurate result, right? Anyway, so another way is to conduct Twitter polls about one artist versus another to gauge the taste, right? We can continuously do this, ask questions, not obviously to a point where it's going to irritate the person. Really, if that's all we're going to post on social media, then why? But we can obviously just be quite transparent with them and say, look, like we want to actually know more about this. Can you help us out? It's only obviously to make the station a little bit better for you. Only games where you rate new songs on the playlist, up and down voting on songs, streaming live is a great new way to see what your listeners think of music in real time. Research can be as subtle as you want it to be. Did you really think that also BuzzFeed games that tell you which friend's character you are, picking your favorite menu items at McDonald's is just for fun? No, it's not. It's to be able to kind of match your favorite meals at McDonald's more so than identifying um your favorite or your most likely or who you match up with in terms of like a favorite friend's character. All right. Anyway, obviously, it is paid for by McDonald's to get information about the taste of certain markets and how to better sell to them. Right. So very innovative, like I say, innovative ways, innovation that start out the lesson with, trying to find new innovative ways on how to maybe gather some information from your listeners that can help you build a better product at the end of the day. Now that we have or know a bit more about the how the research is done, we can put the information into action. So radio is broken up into day parts, right? The day parts consist of shows. The shows are again broken up into hours, and that leads us to clocks, right? So you can note that again. We go obviously from the day parts, right? So different shows that make up a certain part of the day. The shows are then broken up into hours. The hours are broken up into clocks. The radio clock is what brings order into chaos, into the chaos, which is the mind of the presenter. And it brings order and structure, makes sure that you keep your timing and that everything plays out when it should. So this is what radio clocks look like. We had an example here, which if I just zoom in just a little bit here, right, so you can see a clearer idea. This one is for a station, 10 to 1, a talk station, right? That is it's syndicated across. We know that it's syndicated specifically because there's network news versus there should be local aspects right now. Well, the fact that it's there's network news and network breaks. Oh yeah, there's a commercial break, right? So the commercial break is, let's say, more local. So it's obviously particular to the station, and there's a network break and network break network. That's how we know it's syndicated, right? And the show segments don't really say much whether it's actually music or whether it's just only talk. So presumably it would be talk, right? Okay. Hope you're following. Hope you're learning something. Down a little bit here. Note clocks are the same. Obviously, every single hour of the day is different, and not drastically different. I'm saying from hour to hour, because you're still working within the same kind of 3, 4 hours. The listener's temperament, their lifestyle at that particular point, whatever it is that they're doing, or dictates that listener is kind of in the same mind space. It does change a little bit drastically, like I said, in the mornings, because once, for example, you're done with traffic, you're in the office, you're back at home, you're whatever it is, and that kind of, and so for example, it's 7 o'clock hour in the morning, very different to a 9 o'clock hour. Should your breakfast, let's say, carry on, I'm saying till 10. But even so, if you're moving into brunch, like the brunch becomes a lot quieter, a lot more, a lot less frantic, in comparison to, let's say, moving into, let's say, lunch. Okay, a little bit busier. People are out, people are going to the gym, people are having lunch, like literally. So they, like I said, they're making an effort to move out of the office just for a little bit, or they're having lunch in the office, right? They want a little bit of private time, where they could be, again, listening more attentively to the station as a, like I say, as a companion, whatever it may be, right? But I'm saying these clocks, so clock to clock out hour, are going to vary, right? Depending on, again, what it is that your listener is doing throughout that day. Okay. So each hour of this clock is created specifically for a time of the day, specific show. Clocks from prime time shows will be full of commercials, breaks, etc., service elements, while late night shows mostly filled with music. But some of the, obviously, the stuff that's included in music, spots, so that's commercials, advertising, right? Spots, news, traffic, sports, station imaging. So as I said, imaging is the produced elements that identify the station or the show or the presenter or a feature, whatever it may be, right? As presenter links, okay, yeah, and presenter links. So that's not and capital there. All right. That obviously makes sense, for example, not to have traffic at 20 past 2 in the morning because genuinely no one is on the roads, right? And no one, 10 to 1, excuse me, right, excuse me, I'm so sorry. Um, right, is no one is listening for that reason. Like they're listening for pure music, like hardly a zero interaction. Someone that is, just there just to be a background noise. I'm saying a presenter, if there are presenters on at that particular time, create clocks to reflect what the listener is doing and might need at any one time, at particular time. Agree? So, if we look at the Breakfast and Drive shows, we know that obviously we're going to have a lot more breaks, a lot more advertising is going to go into that because a lot more listeners I'm saying, present at those particular time slots. So the advertising rates go up, the more likelihood of obviously like a product being noticed or whatever it is, entered into a listener's subconscious is going to be a lot bigger, saying the possibility than it is on, let's say, other shows. But we do have all those elements that are obviously present in these big, busy shows, right? They need to offer value, entertain the audience because they can get music on Spotify if they want. I'm saying the listener. So we need to keep them listening because of the high volume of people in traffic at those times. We can load up on ads, right, and charge a premium for those spots as well because, again, of that large amount of listeners, right? So this is on moving along. So that is why we fill them with more breaks and less music, right? On average, I mean, we hear a lot of drive shows actually play like five, six songs, maybe. Uh, that's not recommended. That's not a great that's not a great model to be using. About six, no, I'm not gonna say no. Yeah, it's about 7 songs it's a good average for any hour in drive time because otherwise you really are genuinely talking too much. You are talking far too much, and you should get a little bit more music out. I mean, on average, we play 10 to 12 songs an hour. So there's no excuse, let's say, for a drive or a breakfast show to be playing like seven songs an hour. That's basically 2/3 of that. And so yeah, we can justify why we're playing more ads and having longer, let's say, we obviously we have all the elements, the news and etc. But anyway, okay. Daytime, early evening, I have a lot more, have lots of listeners, but we fill the clock with more music. Uh, why do we do this? Because we don't want to be too intrusive, not talk, 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 talk. People are busy at this time. People are choosing to listen recreationally at that time here in the evening. And so we really want to do things in a very more subtle way, right? Do radio in a more subtle way. So what we can and that again does not disclaim now, oh, we must now do radio. Please, that makes no sense, right? So we do radio, we are present, we include obviously content that is relevant to that particular person, again, managed according to their temperament in those different parts of the day. Okay, so we do this because daytime and early evening listeners are more passive, right? And they're working, cooking dinner, etc. So what they're hearing but not listening as attentively as those that are stuck in traffic and have nothing else but the radio. And I say nothing else, they've got their phones, whatever it may be. They've got the option to choose that. But if they choose the radio, then it's just them and the highway, man. Just them and the highway. So we offer more music and content that is less interactive. We still have high ad volumes. Uh, please, that's right, so high ad volumes because the audience is still sizable. The only difference is that at 7 o'clock, we usually stop the news and the traffic. Talk radio is the exception, right? So look at nighttime and weekend radio. Nighttime, let's say 9 to 6 in the morning, a lot more music, fewer spots as well, and much shorter presenter breaks. Really, this is when you do stop talking. You don't do like features and things like that. You just keep the listener company. Um, we're a companion at this time. Weekend clocks are also more music with sporadic news and spots. So sporadic just means like it might be one might be at 11 o'clock, the other one might be at 1 o'clock, the other one might be 4 o'clock, whatever it may be, right? Some stations, most stations will do a news, like they'll do, let's say, like a news bulletin from about 7 o'clock in the morning and kind of stop it maybe at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, somewhere there, right? Weekends are also popular for speciality shows like SA music shows, sports shows, obviously like top 40s, golden oldies. Saturdays are usually reserved for your main show of the weekend, the top 30. There we go. Right. Okay. Um, So playing all of the station's best new music is in one show, usually around 10 o'clock. A lot of stations have moved that up. So in a recent lecture, I said it's actually moved to around about 11 o'clock, which is quite standard, right? But some stations are moving the top 30, top 40 to past, like, let's say, like so we're talking about 3 o'clock and onwards, so three to seven, again, kind of because their listener research, audience research has dictated to them that these listeners are back home, right? At that time, they're back from shopping, they're back from whatever, and they're saying, no, like, now's a good time to maybe switch on, obviously, the top 40. Let's listen to it while we're having a recreational moments like our rise, again, specifically, right? Cookouts with friends, visits with friends, family, and we would like to have the best songs playing, let's say from 3 o'clock in the afternoon and onwards. And it's been working. It's a nice it's a valid point, and it's been working. Right. All about listener research, eh? So do you see now how important clocks are in the radio world? So being able to know what the listener wants at any one particular time, super important, right? So it lets us format our programming to best suit the needs of listeners and becoming parts of their daily routine. So radio isn't the only medium that relies heavily on clocks. TV does this, as we know, very even I would say to even a much larger, stricter extent than radio does, because everything starts exactly on time on TV. And that's not to say it doesn't on radio, but it doesn't actually. We have a lot of presenters that go on air and go and like act a fool and you know play news late or play news early or play spots not exactly, let's say, at 42 minutes past like it's supposed to or whatever it may be, right? um but TV is like, man, it's stock standard and stringent, right? So you might have seen that all around the world, the news usually is at 7 o'clock. That's because they know that people are probably eating dinner. It's after work. It's not as early, so that it's not at a time where people will actually miss it because they are stuck in traffic or whatever it is. They'll be home. They get ready. They put it on. They want to see kind of the roundup for the day as well, but not too late as to interfere with homework, etc. And also kind of your patience, right? We don't want to watch late night news. We just want to end off the day and get to start watching like on Netflix or whatever it may be, right? Showmaxes. All right. They don't schedule big shows for Fridays because they know a lot of people are spending. We're talking about on radio, right? So they're spending TV. It's TV time and TV time, but also people are out and they're having a couple of drinks. They're going out for dinner. They're not in the house, so we normally just play a lot of music again. Saturdays are mostly for sports. TV news or networks usually don't air new or big shows in the summer, right? Um, uh, yeah, it's normally the what do they call it? The fall, yeah, the fall in America. So obviously, um, uh, or August, September, right, is when a lot of shows relaunch. Okay, I'm not saying that shows. So if you watch, there's obviously the two seasons for shows. One in the summer, one in the winter, right? So that, like I say, fall, spring and autumn, right? And then the seasons will obviously they will run their course, and then we obviously have the rotation happen as a sidebar, right? Just I don't want to say more on that, but that's what I've said is a fact. As someone that really knows a lot about, like I say, the TV market and its rotation, right? Anyway, they do it in the autumn or the winter. Oh, there we go. So the fall, right? Okay, when it gets dark early and people spend more time under blankets watching TV. In a way, radio does the same. We do our best to add value to our listeners' life. So I don't. I'm not gonna. I'm going to just. I think this is irrelevant. I'm taking it out because I think it's only irrelevant because it's going to confuse you without us now talking it to death. Let's just leave it at that. And then all that is sound information. Okay. All right. So again, snot is coming out. It droves. I'm so sorry. Okay. Anyway, 8 o'clock, for example, news and sports headlines. Traffic at 20 past and spots. 8:30 sports followed by news headlines and spots. 8:40 traffic and spots. 8:58 spots before the news. Okay, the spaces are permanently filled. I'm saying in between, right? Okay. You can place music imaging breaks in between these however you want, as long as it doesn't interfere with the main service elements of the show. These elements over here. That's just an example from 8 to 9 as well. Yeah. Right, let's just close up with a couple of rules. Right, so here are the rules. Never play two songs back to back without a jingle to separate them. Never, please. It sounds messy and it's just there's this loss of tempo. And also we need imaging. Like imaging must be there all the time to identify the station constantly as we own the product, right? Because it is our product. You never speak directly after spots, right? You can do news or sports when you separate it from the spots with a jingle. Very important, right? To just let the spots stand on their own. That's what the advertiser paid for as well, right? So you can speak going into spots, right? Not talking about the spot. Please do not speak about the commercial or the person that's advertising, but you can do a link to throw forward to, let's say, stuff that's coming up in your show, right? You're going to do the sports and the sports news, whatever it is. Put the jingle, go back to music, right? Okay. Doing a link after an ad, right? Makes it sound like the ad is sponsoring what you're saying. So you may, however, speak before spots. You may never speak after a jingle. Jingles are only there to be placed in between songs. Try not to link. Often news listeners just sat through that amount of speaking 10 to on those spots before. Just get back to the music, please. Don't be someone that likes to hear the sound of their own voice, but you're the only person that likes to hear the sound of your own voice, right? Just go back to the music and then come back. You've got your time to speak in a link. Traffic and sport is also followed by a jingle and then by music, right? Never go into sports, traffic, or news directly after music. These things are good for throwing forward. This is to keep the listener from tuning out. You want them to stick around for what you have next. Keep these 6 rules in mind, and you're gonna do well, right? So, told you I want to close off with one more video, and this has got to do from a lady. Nope, that's not right. Right, stop the share. I'll put it here. That's not. When I watched it yesterday, I thought, oh, this lady knows actually quite a lot. It's pretty cool. I'm going to kind of forward her introduction. She speaks a little too long.
If you're a web designer,
Yeah.
When you're in an online business,
Okay.
or what are you an influencer?
So again, how to create content consistently, the top 5 hacks. She obviously is talking from a social media point of view, which is important because it's an extension and a mandatory dedicated extension of what we do as radio presenters, as content creators, right? So I'm just going to kind of forward past just intro because she just talks a bit of nonsense about yeah. All right, enjoy.
Concept for you and give you actionable steps that can help your personal or business growth. If this is the first time you use. Number one, always jot down your ideas. Remember what I said about content being like energy? There are times when you have a rush and a burst of energy. Same way with content ideas. There are days when you will just be so inspired and so motivated, and ideas will just be coming left, right, and center. What you want to do at that point is to write down every single idea that you have. It doesn't matter where the idea comes to you. If it comes to you in your toilet, take up your phone and jot it. If it comes to you while you're on the road, take up a notepad, take up a phone, send a text message, but make sure that you're always jotting down your ideas because they will come when you have no idea at all, and all you need to do is take up your book or your notepad where you've been jotting down ideas and then look through them and pick out the right one that you can easily create from. And that's the first step. Whenever you have a rush of ideas at any particular time, make sure you write everything down. Never rely on your brain and be like, oh, I'm super smart, or oh, I have an amazing memory, or hey, if I had this idea today, then maybe tomorrow or next week when I need it, it will come again. Nah, you can't trust energy like that. Sometimes when you need it the most, you just don't have it. So make sure you always jot it down. Number 2, keep a swipe file. What is a swipe file? A swipe file is simply a file, a folder, a catalog, a list of content that inspire you. Now, the most important tip in creating content is for you to consume content. The more you consume content, the more you learn, the more you watch other people's videos, the more you look at people's posts, swipe through their carousels, read their blog posts, the more you learn and the more inspired you become to actually create your own piece of content. So it's always learn, consume content, and you get content ideas. But here's the thing, whenever you're consuming other people's content, whenever you're surfing through the internet, surfing through social media, what you want to do is you want to save all the content that you find that inspire you. And that's what a swipe file is. It's simply a catalog, a bookmark, or a folder of content that inspire you. On the days where you're not inspired at all, on the days where you feel not motivated at all, on the days where you feel like you don't have any idea, and maybe even the ideas that you jotted down, you realize you don't like them, what a swipe file will help you do is that when you go through it, by seeing content that inspired you in the past, you might pick something up like, oh, this is a aha moment, and it will help you to sort of like come up with new content ideas, right? So it's always great to look out for content that you like. So whenever you see anything on the internet, anybody's content that makes sense to you, that resonates with you, that you can learn from, whether it's the creativity that you like, or it's the mannerism of the person, or it's the color, or it's the caption, as long as it's something in that piece of content that inspires you, save it and add it to your swap file. And when you have no idea or you don't feel inspired, just go through all the list of things that has inspired you in the past, and I promise you, you get the energy, or you get the zeal, or you feel motivated again to start actually creating different pieces of content. Number 3, content repurposing. What is content repurposing? It's simply using a piece of content that you've used before in a different manner. Right now, at this point in my life, repurposing of content is probably my favorite hack. Okay, not really. Number 5, my favorite hack, and you'll find out soon. But it's one of my top favorite hacks for never running out of content or for creating content consistently. It's simply making sure that whenever you are in the zone and you're creating content, think about it or ask yourself, is there any way that I can use this content again another time? A good example would be creating this YouTube video, and in 3 months, when I don't have any energy to create Instagram carousel videos, I can go back to my old YouTube videos and make carousels out of them, and it'll still feel evergreen. Or I create a blog post, and from a blog post, I make it into a video, or from a long list of blog posts, like maybe after writing like 10 different blog posts, I'll put them together as an ebook. That way, it's basically just reformatting or retweaking or reusing the same content in different formats over time. Now, the major thing you want to pay attention to when repurposing content is to make sure that the content that you create is evergreen. Evergreen content. Now, generally, when it comes to content marketing, there are 2 types of content, and I said that in one of my content marketing videos. I'll put the link down below or up there somewhere. But it's that there are 2 types of content. There's evergreen content and there's topical content. Topical content are content that is trending, that is about something that's currently trending, or something that is or it's seasonality or timing. Whereas evergreen content is content that is just knowledgeable, content that is just valuable, that regardless of time and seasons, it would always be relevant. One of my favorite examples of evergreen content is making a recipe video of how to cook jollof rice. If I make a video of how to cook jollof rice today, in 5 years, somebody will probably stumble on that video and it'll still be relevant to them, because cooking of jollof rice or cooking recipes has nothing to do with timing or seasonality. This video, how to never run out of content ideas, will always be relevant to people over in 10 years. Now, when you create evergreen content, because it's always going to be relevant and it's not dependent on time and seasons, it makes it easier for you to repurpose it over a long period of time. So you can create one content on Instagram and turn into a blog post. You can make a Twitter thread and turn into an Instagram carousel after 5 months. You can create a repurpose content by taking like a large piece of content and drill it down to smaller pieces, like an ebook to blog post, or smaller pieces to a large piece like blog post or an ebook, or just simply changing the format from a video to a carousel on Instagram. But that's a cool way to always make sure that you're giving people relevant content and you never run out of what to post on social media or everywhere else. Number 4 is leveraging on trends, right? Trends and data. Trends and data. And this is a very interesting way to always get a lot of buzz, right? Whenever you feel like, I've run out of content, ask yourself what's currently going to be relevant to people at this time, right? What's happening in the world, what's happening in my community, what's happening in my target audience, what are you thinking about, what do they need right now, what will be relevant to them, what problem can I solve for them right now? Ask yourself those questions and then use those answers to create a piece of content. There's no need in doing too many research or brainstorming by yourself. Simply think or research what is most relevant in this time, in this season, to the people who are my target audience or the people who I'm creating content for, and then use those questions or use the answers to those questions to create content. Also, check your analytics. What kind of content actually gives you the best result, the best engagement, and then ask yourself, how can I sort of replicate this result by creating similar content? All I need to do is tweak a few topics here and there, tweak a few captions here and there, but I know that because this format already worked before or has been working over time, today that I don't have any new ideas, I can simply just tweak that and replicate it, and I'll still get a very good result. Why? Because there's data to back it up that this actually already works. So that's it. Create trend. Ask yourself what's currently trending, or what do people who I serve, what do they need, and what problems can I solve right now, or what questions do they have that I can answer right now, and create content for them. And also check your data. What works best? I create content like that. And then the last thing is number 5, which is my favorite content creation hack right now. My favorite hack. And that is create content in bulk. See, consistency can be hacked. Consistency is not necessarily waking up every morning and deciding to shoot a new video, or waking up every morning and deciding to write a long caption, or waking up every morning and designing a new content. Not necessarily, not for everybody. Because again, it's energy, and sometimes we just don't have the energy. So what you want to do is that you want to plan ahead, and on the days where you have so much inspiration, right, jot down some of those content, but also create content in bulk. Create as much content as you can on those days where you are like super motivated and inspired. That way, create 5 pieces of carousels at once, create 5 YouTube videos at once, write 5 long blog posts at once, and schedule it in advance, right? Schedule it like once every week. So the next 5 weeks, you know that you're going to be super consistent. This is my favorite hack because this is what I use, right? Just make sure that whenever you have loads of ideas, jot down some of them, and for as much as you can, create it in bulk so that you can actually, keep planning ahead. And so you can just have content for the next 3 months in place. And everybody's going to be like, oh my God, you're super consistent. But you know that 3-month post, you created it in 3 days when you're like super hyper, and you can just spend the rest of the day just making sure that you're engaging with people and you're taking care of other business that is not necessarily content creation. So that's it, guys. My 5 ways to never run out of content ideas and to be consistent. 1, always jot down your ideas. 2, create a...
Very cool. Yeah, very cool. So it may seem very obvious, but the thing is that sometimes you need things to be presented in a very simple and very categorized way, compartmentalized way, for you to just say, okay, it's not that overwhelming. Let me do something about my online presence. Let me do something about my approach to content and how I go and develop that. Let me take a little bit of control and ownership as to how much and how often. Don't do too much, man. Don't get irritating, to people, especially if it is like you're doing the same thing. I'm seeing this just with 2 particular people, just because my focus is there. Literally saw it now, right? Where it's just like it's like 10 different parts to the same, to the literally the same interview, for example, or the same piece of content, right? And it's exhausting because the thing is that I'll tell you why it's exhausting, because the background is the same and the kind of the execution is the same, because it's all actually part of one link, right? It looks it looks more than just repurposed. It looks a bit lazy, And also, for me, in the back of my mind, it says once I've seen one, I've seen them all. You're not really telling me anything new. And it looks like one massive advertising, vomit, whatever it may be, right? Regurgitation, right? Anyway, my thing is, again, take it in your stride, pace it, but balance it up, do something cool, and then go out and obviously make sure that you are dedicating yourself, please, to doing something cool. Okay, that is the end of the lesson. Hope you learned something. That is also the end of the week's lessons. Also, good luck for the formative. And yeah, work hard so that you don't ever have to do the subject again, right? And that you don't waste money having to do it again as well. But also, here's the main thing, because you actually want to do well, okay? And you wanna put your best foot forward. Good luck.